Good evening, I'm Shane Jones, leading the news at 7. The Ministry of Environment and National Beautification is temporarily closing Worthen Beach from the entrance of St. Lawrence Gap to the zone at the bottom of Rendezvous Hill from midnight tonight until 11:59 p.m. on Friday, July 20th. Now, this is to facilitate an environmental exercise to lower the water levels at the Graham Hall Swamp as preparations for the 2018 hurricane season continue. The decision was made following a series of meetings with a subcommittee of cabinet comprising the Ministry of Environment and National Beautification, the Ministry of Energy and Water Resources, the Ministry of Maritime Affairs and the Blue Economy, the Ministry of Health and Wellness, the Ministry of Transport Works and Maintenance, and the Ministry of Tourism and International Transport. Minister of Environment and National Beautification Trevor Prescott says the move is critical to preserve the delicate South Coast ecosystem in the future. He says they have discussed at length the implications for closing the beach for the next 2 weeks, noting that while it is far from the ideal scenario, the subcommittee has collectively made the decision that its closure is in the best interest of preserving the environment going forward. The first ever international Bashment soca monarch has been crowned. It's veteran Barbadian artist Lil Rick. He walked away with the trophy and one of the biggest cash prizes in local competition of $80,000 following last night's International Bashment Soca Monarch competition at Kensington Oval. Rianne Phillips reports.
Winning $80,000 major dollars, $40,000 US dollars for the first ever Yellow International Bashment Soca Monarch final. Somebody give it up for the Hyperdome
Lil Rick has added the title of International Bashment Soca Monarch to his expansive collection. He earned it after defeating 11 other finalists, including two-time Bashment King Stiffy, with this performance of Bennett.
Everybody that ready to bend, step Bennett, 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 hold your push this wrong in the boss, do some Bennett, 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 to me, I'll hook your tongue and show your tongue, ring on Bennett, 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 Bennett.
Other finalists tried in vain to claim the top prize with varied performances that included green monkeys and even fireworks. While still surprised at the result, Rick is nonetheless happy and has not announced any plans for his big bounty.
It's a good feeling. I can see the Bashment Soca going further from here, and I hope that more countries enter. Look how well Sita was received for a person that's not really known in Barbados, so I think that it can grow and it can get bigger from here.
This is the first time regional acts were allowed to enter the Bashment Soca finals. Freezy from St. Lucia and Sita from St. Vincent and the Grenadines brought energy despite appearing on stage in the latter half when energy from the performers appeared to dip.
I was like number 12. Everybody's going to be drunk, nobody's going to be paying attention. But then I realized that the Barbadian crowd is very attentive. So I said, you know what, once I get on that stage, it was about delivering the song, singing the song, and then getting into the freestyle.
All right, so just tell us about the freestyle you dropped tonight.
I was sitting backstage and I saw when, I think it was Stiffy brought up Lady Essence as part of his act. And then I heard when Stabby called my name, so I said, it's over. That was just it.
The night also included the performances from the semi-finalists in the Sweet Soca and Party Monarch competitions, along with the announcement of the finalists for both events.
The 8 persons going up against the Hyperdog Lil Rick for the Party Monarch competition. Ishana, Mess, Chrissy D, Rum and Bass, Matt Fingal, Blows, Mikey, My Kind of Party, Mr. Dale, Bold and Brave, Mr. Blood and iWeb Stomp, Nikita, Going the Distance, Stiffy Lies. The reserve, once again, Kurt Brown, the challenge. The 9 persons, and one of them will be your new Sweet Soca Monarch. Adrian Clark, Soca U, Biggie Irie, Country, Bobo, Rain, Damien Marvey, At Large, Imani, All Day Long, iWeb, Best in Me, Lil Rick, Breakfast in Bed, Mikey, Fetting Family, Sanctuary Vibes, Fet Load. The reserve once again, Nikita Journey.
Soca Royale comes off at Bushy Park on Sunday, July 29th. Rianne Phillips, CBC News.
Thanks, Rianne. Barbados National Faith Leaders has been playing a massive role in the fight to totally stamp out HIV and AIDS, both in Barbados and the region. They went one step further, hosting a 2-day consultation funded by the European Union starting yesterday at the Radisson Aquatica. The Faith Leaders organization has taken the pledge to end AIDS by 2030, and at a regional consultation last year involving over 50 faith leaders, a declaration was issued with 10 actionable recommendations to hit specific targets to reach their goal. It is believed that if by 2020 the region can get 90% of people living with HIV tested, 90% of those tested can get treatment, and if 90% of those treated have low levels of the virus in their blood, AIDS can be ended in the region by 2030. The Pan-Caribbean Partnership Against HIV and AIDS PANCAP recognizes the role of religion in reducing stigma and discrimination, and Director Derek Springer says faith leaders have brought fantastic ideas to the table.
Included in those recommendations was that we should seek to engage with key populations. Among the recommendations was also the establishment of a regional faith leaders steering committee to implement the recommendations, and I must report that that is fully operational with clear terms of reference, and it also has as part of its membership a representative from key populations.
Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs Cynthia Ford says the role of faith-based organizations is critical and relevant to the fight against HIV and AIDS.
Your work is certainly poised to play a pivotal role at all levels of the response if we are to meet the agreed 90 fast-track targets towards delivering an AIDS-free generation by the year 2030. Officials from the National AIDS Program have advised me that this is an achievable goal. However, to be successful, we will need all sectors of our society and our partners to play their part in the response.
In a thought-provoking presentation, Deputy Principal of UWI's Cayfield campus, Professor Clive Landis, believes that science indicates that there can be an end to the AIDS epidemic. He says that science proves that if a person with HIV and AIDS is treated, they cannot transmit it to anyone else in any way. He says the problem in Barbados is because of the stigma attached, people are afraid to go for treatment.
Test, treat, defeat is really what it's all about. We will eliminate HIV from the whole of our country if we can provide an environment in which people feel comfortable to be tested, and then they are able to access treatment and be comfortable being treated, and then we will just treat our way out of this disease.
The consultation will see panel and group discussions moderated by the Executive Director of the Live Up campaign, Dr. Alison Leacock. As a precautionary measure to mitigate against the possible impact of Hurricane Beryl, the management of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital opened its pharmacy today, and it will also be open tomorrow from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. to provide a limited dispensation service. The QEH says this limited service is to ensure that people on life-saving therapies such as cardiac oncology, asthmatic, diabetic and hypertensive patients with repeat prescriptions to be refilled between Monday, July 9th and Wednesday, July 11th will receive the necessary medication. The QEH is advising that people on medication have at minimum a 7-day supply of all medications prescribed. As such, this limited dispensation service is simply a precautionary measure to ensure patient care is not compromised.